inevitably, that part between the end of a season and the following season transfer window closing in the summer is a time when there is an awful lot of stories in the media about players coming and going from various clubs. And we are absolutely no different. Just because we've been relegated from the Premier League, life goes on, and we will still need to have players coming in, players going out, and all those things besides. This is possibly exacerbated by the fact that we've got a World Cup on the horizon. Very likely after the World Cup has concluded, there will be an awful lot of business, a flurry of players that go to the World Cup, impress, put themselves in the shop window and put themselves on the radar of clubs that otherwise might not have happened but for that big tournament over in the United States, Canada and Mexico that is about to start around about a week or so from now as I record this. Now, although an awful lot of the stories that will be linking one player with a certain club, and we'll obviously be included in a lot of these stories for obvious reasons, but a lot of these stories will actually come to nothing. Some of them, however, will have an element of substance to it. The problem is that when these stories breaks in the media, sometimes it's a little bit difficult to separate wheat from the chaff. Now, a lot of these stories, though, to a YouTube channel, that we need to obviously go through it, and it gives us a little bit of content, gives us a little bit of something to talk about, which is precisely why I picked record on this video. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, I want to get your thoughts on the story that I'm going to bring you today. So there's a comment section below, and I need you to get stuck in, and I'll answer as many of the comments. I try to answer all of them, so get your comments stuck in, give us your thoughts on the story we're about to reveal, and we'll go from there. And if you are not subscribed to the channel yet, as quite a few of you are not from the analytics that I can see on YouTube, I really would appreciate it if you could just have a little look. And if you're not subscribed to the channel, please click the subscribe button and also click the bell notification. And that way, when there's any more content added to the channel, you will be notified that that has been added to the channel. And also, if you could drop a like on this stream and give us a hype, that will help the YouTube algorithms to push this content out to places it otherwise would not reach. Thank you very much indeed for your support. So, one of the things that I think is very likely, in fact, almost inevitable, is that one of the players that will be shortly leaving London Stadium is almost certainly to be the Portuguese player Mateus Fernandes. He had an absolutely brilliant season as far as I was concerned. I believe he was the hammer of the year in my humble opinion, although he never actually carried off that accolade. That being said, I think it's fair to say that same as when he got relegated the season earlier with Southampton, it's very unlikely that he's going to ply his trade in the Championship beyond the conclusion of the summer transfer window. I believe that he will no longer be a West Ham player when that transfer window slams shut, to use the media parlance. Now, that once he's out the door, we will obviously need to make sure that there is a player already within the ranks that we've got that is an adequate replacement for Mateus Fernandes. One of the players that's been linked is a player from French Ligue 2, but it's actually going to be Ligue 1 next season because this is a team that's been promoted from Ligue 2 to Ligue 1. In the team Trois is a young man by the name of Martin Adeline. Now, he is a French under-20 international. Now, he is got something of he has had a really good season, actually. As I say, Trois finished in the first position of 18 in Ligue 2 and thereby earned the promotion to Ligue 1. Now, during the course of the season, Martin Adeline got a very impressive 11 goals and provided 13 assists in all competitions across the season for Trois. Now, as I say, he's 22 years of age, and this is possibly someone that could come into the club and add that little bit of dynamism in midfield. One of the things that I think was glaringly missing from the midfield for an awful lot of the season was that midfield dynamism, aside from Mateus Fernandes, of course. I think that possibly next season there may be an opportunity to see a little bit more of Freddie Potts, but he will need someone alongside him. There's a lot of talk that obviously Thomas Souček could move on, but even if he stays, let's be completely honest about it. Although he is a great servant to the club, he offers a lot, tackling, heading, and chipping in with the odd goals. Yes, he's spraying around of passes. He's not particularly dynamic in that sense. He obviously gives you run through brick walls, that sort of thing. But I think that this is a player that could give that little bit of a dynamic element to the central midfield. Could he even possibly partner up if he comes in with maybe a Mohamedou Kante? They may well have crossed paths in French football at some point. I don't know, in their pathway in the French football leagues. Very possibly. I'm not quite sure. I'd have to go away and fact check that. But Martin Adeline looks very interested. Now, this story broke in the Daily Mail, and it says West Ham are showing interest in young Troyes midfielder Martin Adeline. The 22-year-old played a key role in helping Troyes get promoted to the French top flight last season, and his performances have prompted interest from the Hammers. They are looking for someone who can pull the strings in midfield to help them earn promotion out of the Championship next season. They expect to sell Mateus Fernandes, who remains of interest to Manchester United, Arsenal and Paris Saint-Germain, and they hope to attract bids of £80 million for the Portuguese, even though bids of around £50 million may be more realistic. Adeline played for France at under 20 level and have earned rave reviews last season, but could yet be tempted to stay at Troyes, who are part of City Group. So that could be a little bit of a complication, perhaps. As they look to stay in Ligue 1, West Ham face an overhaul of their squad. Apart from Fernandes, others such as Songutu Magassa, Crescencio Somerville, El Hadji Malik Diouf, Konstantinos Mavropanos, Jean-Claire Todibo, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, Tati Castellanos and Edson Alvarez are all expected to be sold as West Ham try to raise over £100 million. Now, this is the bit that I do have a little bit of a question that comes off of this link. It's great. The player seems to be a burgeoning talent that maybe we could latch onto and get at a bargain price, and that's fine. But this is the bit that really concerns me, because this next statement goes on to say the club's head of technical recruitment, Max Hahn, resigned last week, which was covered on an earlier broadcast that I did on the channel. The German decided to step away following relegation from the Premier League. The club are looking to appoint a sporting director in the next week. So my concern is, whose player is this? Who is the person that has set the ball in motion for West Ham to be linked to the player? Is this Nuno? Is this George Mendes? Is this maybe a remnant of Maximilian Hans? Did he set the ball rolling? Or possibly more sinister is my thoughts on this, is could this be a David Sullivan signing? I think it's unlikely to be Daniel Kaczynski. If I had to put money on anyone, I would probably say it's a Sullivan special. Wouldn't shock me, in actual fact, if this maybe has something to do with Jack and David Jr. lurking away in the background. Because the thing that I'm a little bit concerned by, I think that if things go as I expect, I think that there's going to be quite a few Portuguese, Spanish players that we buy, not so much French. But this makes me wonder, is this possibly David Sullivan, or from that direction, that's where this is coming in? And that really concerns me. Don't get me wrong, if this player comes in and he hits the ground running, then I guess I'm not going to have a problem. But it is a big if, and it is quite a step up. Although he's been promoted from Ligue 2, great stats that he's got, as I say, 11 goals, 13 assists. I think he played something like, and I do have it here, I think he played something like, let me just find it, the amount of games he played. Played 32 in Ligue 2, and he got 10 goals, 11 assists. And then in the Coupe de France, he got another 4 appearances, 1 goal and 2 assists. So he's got some good numbers, but obviously it's a bit of a step up, the physicality in the Championship compared to Ligue 2, which is an 18-team division, whereas the Championship is a 24-team division. So 46 games, very attritional. So the question I also have is that how physically can he stand up to that pressure? Because it is a gear change. So what do you think? Is this someone? There might even be some of you out there that might have seen this kid play, either for the French under-20s or for Troyes themselves. In the past, he has at other clubs. He was also at Reims, and in his youth career, he also was on the books at Paris Saint-Germain. But what do you think? As I say, Martin Adeline, 22 years of age. So he's got an awful lot of development still to come. And he looks like a raw talent from what I can see. You can go on YouTube, you can see his highlight reel, you can go on all the usual resources like Transfer Market and Wikipedia. You can look up his stats for yourself. He's 5'11", so he's quite physically imposing, but he looks quite slender in his build. So I do wonder, how's he going to stand up to some of the more physical treatment that he's going to get in the Championship if we sign him? But like I say, his stats, they look good. And I think that if he's a player that looks, if he develops, maybe, just maybe, he could be someone that we bring in and possibly sort of if you get into from the Championship into the Premier League, possibly could be a player that if he develops in the Premier League further, that maybe he's a player that we could sort of get in. He doesn't mention in this article in the Daily Mail what the price is that could be connected to him. But looking on Transfer Market, they give him their rating of 10 million euros. Now, that has to be taken with a pinch of salt. They're not always mega accurate, but also included in the interest as far as this is concerned. It goes on to say on Transfer Market that there are a number of clubs that are also looking to sort of like they're sniffing around and might also be interested in purchasing him. For instance, Lens, Lorient, Hamburg are clubs that are mentioned, and I think I saw another one here. Let me just double check. So Lens, Lorient, and Cologne. So 2 clubs in France, 2 clubs in Germany are interested. So clearly this is someone, he's attracting interest from some fairly big clubs. They're not the elite, but Hamburg, Cologne, Lorient, Lens, they're not pub teams. And so there is a little bit of competition there. So we've not got a clear path. But what do you think? Martin Adeline, 22 years of age, under 20 French international, currently on the books at Troyes. He has got 11 goals, 13 assists in a total of 36 appearances for Troyes last season, which is very impressive, I think it's fair to say. But we do have some competition: Cologne, Hamburg, Lorient and Lens. But the question is, who has set the ball rolling as far as this signing is concerned? Is it Nuno? Is it George Mendes? Is this a remnant of the Maximilian Hahn story? Or is this possibly a David Sullivan special? That's the worry. Is this a David Sullivan special? Get your comments in the section below. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please click the subscribe button. It doesn't cost you any money. We don't get your data sensitive information. It just helps to grow the channel into something bigger and better than we are right now. Drop a like on the stream. Give us a hype if you've got any available. We'll see you again soon. Come on, you Irons. Everywhere we go.